Hi there everyone, welcome back up here to Weir Yard in the Loft, and today, well, we haven't done one of these for a while, but there's a few bits and pieces been going on, so I want to share with you some of the progress on the Loft layout. So without further ado, and in association with our sponsor, Trainomatic, maker of DCC decoders, designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts to be as easy to use as possible. Visit them at trainomatic.com and also tramfabrique.nl. So without further ado, I'm going to take you on a tour of just what I've been up to up here on Weir Yard. One of the things which is quite apparent is, as you can see up there on the computer monitor, got quite a few cameras dotted around the loft, just making sure that for the live streams we've got plenty of coverage. So I'm just waiting actually for a train to appear on that screen. Trains are running, as you can hear, but it's typical, isn't it, that there we go, there's the Daypole rail car. But this is something that we've had planned for a while up here on Weir Yard. But it was actually Ollie of Wardle Road which kind of gave me the kick up the bottom to make it happen. So what we've been doing is getting some Logitech cameras. You can see one of them there, and been fitting them in. These are actually webcams. They're not actually too expensive. I think they're about £17 off Amazon. Other sources probably available too. But they give a pretty reasonable picture quality, and the idea is that all of these have gone in to give us multiple camera angles, so just unplugging the power from the phone. So I've been putting in a load of cabling, and you can see the box there with the red and the green light, which that camera is plugged to, and these wires go along behind the purlins, just along where all those lights are, which is pretty bright. This is one of the other cameras. Well, it's the same type of camera. I think we've got 4 of this type of camera, and that's actually the one which you were seeing the image of on the screen. I've used a piece of Meccano to give it a bracket. It's a bit higher than I would have liked, but you know, it's one of those things that the cable was only so long. If I could have got it down to here, actually, it would have been even better. But, you know, maybe I'll get an extension for the cable and be able to get a slightly better angle, such as the one that you're seeing here now. And one of the other things that I like about these cameras, you can see there, it's a bit like being in a TV studio. There's actually a light on when it's using each camera, so you actually know which one you're looking at. And that beeping brings to tell... I've no idea what has shorted to cause that, but underneath here we've got the new DCC Concepts power booster setup. So I'm going to take a little guess, and it's quite handy actually, it's killed the power to the layout. I'm going to move this along and see whether that was just causing a short on that frog. Sometimes it does happen, certain locomotives do have issues. Press the reset button, and what I like about this is everything then just starts back up the way it was before. So yes, it was that Class 8 shunter on that point. But this new power booster system, got this from DCC Concepts when we went up there to Settle to do a video with them. And I also bought myself one of these, and it's one of their alpha meters which gives you a readout of the top one is the voltage to the track, and the bottom one is the amount of amps that is being pulled by everything that's on the layout, and they're quite good as a diagnostic tool as much as anything. And I've got 5 amps of potential power now, courtesy of the power unit that I've bought from them. And that power unit's compatible with the Gauge Master Prodigy Express that I've got, but it'll also work with pretty much every other DCC control system that's on the market. So it's a really great way of upgrading. But I had a bit of fun putting this in. It was actually quite an easy project, so I'm just going to show you what I did to get this in place. So this is the new toy, a DCC Concepts Alpha Meter. Saw this in the showroom when I went up to visit them in Settle, and I've just started cutting out the template that comes in the pack. I've actually very enthusiastically ripped on into this. So it comes in a plastic blister pack. We've got a couple of spare terminals and screws. They actually give you a spare one as well, which is quite nice. And what I'm currently doing is working out where to put this. So I'm just measuring up to drill through the fascia over here. And I think it's going to be interesting, and it will tell me what the current draw on the layout is. So it's, you know, a good fault finding diagnostic tool. Tells you what you can and can't do with your layout, I guess. So I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get the hole cut, and then I'm going to see just what I can do. Once it's in, I can wire up the terminals, and this just goes, it kind of breaks into the track feed. So where you would go from the output from the power booster to the track, effectively you cut those cables, and then they feed in one side, out the other. And you can see on there, you've got a positive and a negative on each input and output terminal, and it's important to match those up so they don't reverse as they go through this. So there we have it. I'm going to get on with this little job, and I'll hopefully have a hole that this will mount into. So fingers crossed. The template, I've actually already cut this out, and that's what I'm going to do is just lightly glue it on here, and then effectively you can see the white bit in the middle is the bit that I removed. Well, I've marked out the spot. I just had to measure very carefully, because behind there is a cross piece just like that. I'm not drilling through that. So the unit will sit just above that. So I've marked out using the template where I'm going to be cutting out. A little bit of filing, and it just fits in there. It's quite a tight fit. I actually had to enlarge it just a little bit over and above what the template showed. But that now fits into the fascia. Next job is to break out from the track feed underneath there, which is incidentally where you're just about to see the green and the blue lights. I got the Alpha Power Pack, and it's a really great system. It'd be interesting to see just what it can supply, and of course this allows me to monitor it. So I'm going to get on, break out the cable, and wire everything in. So the moment of truth, and here it is. It's powered up. It's plugged in. It's actually quite easy to insert it in series, because the plugs are the same size as the plugs that we used on the power output from the power booster that's under there. So I just kind of made a new length of wire, and then just plugged this into series. So we've got a voltage and an ampage indicator there, and I'm going to open up an isolating switch for the TMD, and you will see them change now that locomotives that aren't even moving are now effectively sat on a live track. And it just shows actually what locomotives are drawing even when they're not selected or activated. So what I'm going to do now is let's see. I'm just trying to think what locomotive I have with sound in that's currently on the track. Which one will we try? I know. D8000. And let's move it the other way now, I think. And then if we shut that down, it just shows what one locomotive is pulling. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm going to use the fascia plug screws now, fix that in, and then we're all done. Probably seen in some of the other videos these cameras creeping in, so you can see there two more of these Logitech style webcams, and these are all wired back up here to, I've got a USB 2 hub, a powered USB 2 hub. There's a power supply up here as well, and that's supplying power to the cameras to stop any kind of issues on the bus. And one of the issues is that the leads to these cameras aren't necessarily as long as you'd like. So that's one of the reasons why this one over here is right at the limit of the cable and is not necessarily in exactly the position I would like it, but certainly it's something that I'm going to look into, maybe get a short extension piece for that. The last camera, well, this is a Microsoft one. I was gifted this by my grandfather, so it's not quite as new and up to date as the those Logitech ones, but actually it's held up pretty well. And because of the way that this camera is adjustable in different directions, that's allowed a really nice low level shot of this area here, which I think really looks quite well on the live streams. Now also, I can't remember if I talked about this much. This is the tree that Les gave me, and I've worked the little diorama that he gave me into the landscape, and you can't really see the joins. Now believe me, all that root structure and the grass around it was part of the diorama on a piece of card that he made. But utilising some fine sand and some grass scatter, I've managed to merge the edges in so you can't really see them. I was quite pleased with that. But yeah, going back to the camera, I'm going to look out and see if I can find any more of these. Maybe second-hand they might crop up. Because even though it's actually a few years old, it's still HD. And whilst the picture quality isn't necessarily quite as good as those newer Logitechs, its size and adjustability has allowed it to get views which the Logitechs would have struggled to do. You can see here we've got a proper broadcast quality microphone and a pop guard here. That's what this is. And the idea behind this is like you see in sound studios. When you're talking, when you go pop, pop, it forms certain consonants, and it makes a popping sound, and you can kind of make a peak of air pressure. You hear there on the P, the peak. Well, the pop guard just guards the microphone from that extensive high-level popping sound and just helps screen it out. So you get a much nicer sound quality without actually making things sound muffled in any way. The two computer keyboards, well, that's because there's actually two computers down here. And this glowing red, it's very difficult to see in this level of light, but there's an all-singing, all-dancing new computer which allows me to do the streaming. And then we've got a Behringer broadcast desk here, which is a bit of a mess at the moment. I've got a second spare microphone plugged into channel 2, which is just sat on top. But that allows us to get the mic levels in. You can see the broadcast microphones plugged into channel 1. And that all means that we get a really great sound. When it works, we get a really great sound for the live streams. As to other bits and pieces, well, Weir Yard has kind of taken a back seat to keeping pace with world events. We've been doing a lot of live streams, and I think it's important to give some kind of relief to people who may be in enforced isolation to be able to tune in, keep going with the community, to chat with people, and basically kind of provide a train-related hangout for people, which would be really nice. We're going to be keeping up as well with the review videos, and I'm just trying to think if I've got anything up here that's for reviewing. Yeah, I've got a couple of products that DCC Concepts gave me. So there's a tool there and their power base, and I'm going to be filming some videos for those. But other than that, I'm afraid there's not really a huge amount of things going on up here on Weir Yard. But I hope that little bit of a kind of a progress update is informative to you, and it just shows you some of the little upgrades I've been doing, and actually that control system has been a welcome benefit. The Gauge Master Prodigy Express would only really handle 4 locomotives running at once, and started to throw up weird errors whenever I went to put like lots of sound locos or try and run extra locos. With the new power booster from DCC Concepts, that's not an issue anymore, and I can actually run all sound all the time. And this little alpha meter, I'm quite pleased with this as well. In some respects, for somebody like me on a layout like this, it's more eye candy, but actually it's been really quite useful to keep an eye on things. And amazing, isn't it? A watched power booster knows exactly when to trip itself out. So something somewhere has caused a short, which it does mean that I think one of these locomotives has shorted out on that frog. So if I move that back a little bit, and then I press the reset button, then everything will start moving again. Is it going to short out again? No, very strange. But by moving that train, it does show that that was what was causing that short. I am going to have to sort out some of these frogs. I don't know whether the power base power booster is a little bit more sensitive than the Gauge Master was, or it may even just be certain locomotives, but I'm going to get to the bottom of that. But from me, Jenny Kirk, up here in Weir Yard, watching trains go by. I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like this video, share it too, and subscribe to the channel, and you'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying take really good care of yourself. Bye for now. Today's video is sponsored by Train-O-Matic, makers of DCC decoders designed to be fully compatible with every manufacturer's locomotive. Visit train-o-matic.com to browse the full range and see what they've got suitable for you. I'd like to send out a huge thanks to everybody who supports me on Patreon. And an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Michael Churchwood, Anthony Hunt, William Wade, Wayne Johns, Offshore Allen, oorail.co.uk, Tepic, Michael Lockie, Helen Sink, and Peter Bolton. Thank you. Without you guys, I couldn't do this.